Okay, guys, so today we are going to be talking about elevation views and how to draw them. You guys are going to be doing these for your apartment complex. And so this is likely something you've never done before, just like a lot of the other things we're going to do in this class. But elevation views are very important, very much used in the world of architecture to show how the outside of a building is designed. So, you guys haven't really designed much with the outside of your building besides where it's going to go on your site plan, maybe how it's oriented. And so, this is where we start to dive into the actual architectural style and design of our building. Here on your daily side, this is just a quick little video that recaps how to or what an elevation drawing is, but I'm going to cover most of that. If you're still confused, definitely check that out. But hopefully this video provides a lot of clarity. This link here will take you to this document that looks like just all of our other documents, but regarding elevation views, you can see this one's a lot shorter. There's going to be lots of things that I'm looking for on these drawings when you guys get to the final drawings for them. But a lot of this is going to be graded off of how well did you exhibit a certain style, how well did you incorporate certain architectural features and different things like that into it. Um, and then the neatness of your drawing and whatnot. So, I'm gonna hop over to this and just explain kind of what I want you guys to do starting off, where we're going today, and down the line of the rest of this week, and how you need to start these elevation views. So essentially, you guys all have a site plan, um, and you guys have buildings on that site plan. This site plan is old. It doesn't actually have parking or anything on it. It's actually a landscaping plan specifically. However, these are the building footprints right here. So, what you're going to do on your site plan is you're going to look at your buildings and you're going to try to figure out how you're going to draw these elevation views. So, for this site plan specifically, if I was to look at this building here, okay, an elevation view is going to show me what this building looks like from the north, from the east, from the south, and from the west. So for each one of your buildings, you're going to have a north view, an east view, south, sorry, my handwriting's terrible, and a west for each one of your buildings, okay? So like if this is my site plan, I would have 4 different views of this building as well, okay? And that's just how we're going to structure it. And so what does that mean, right? So if I was looking at this building from the north side, say this is a 2-story building. Each story is, we'll say, 12 feet tall, which is pretty standard. I would say if your building, is multi-story, you can make the levels between 10 to 15 feet tall. That's pretty, that's not anything crazy. That's a pretty good standard to follow. So, oops, I did not mean to draw that. So, if I was to start and say, okay, I'm going to roughly sketch out, this north view here. Okay. And you're going to start in your notebook so you have that graph paper. Okay. Here I just have dots, but it's kind of the same thing. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to look at this over here and determine, let me see, let me use a different line color. What is this dimension here? Okay, because in your notebook, you're going to create this view for like you're standing on the north side. So if I, determine that that is, we'll just say this length here is, we'll say 50 feet. Okay. For my north elevation view over here, okay, I know that this building is going to be, and sorry, this is not going to be straight because I'm working on my laptop, but, say in our Actually, that was pretty good. Say in our notebook, we figure out a scale because you guys roughly have about 30, I want to say 30, or no, sorry, horizontally, you guys have about 40 squares. And so, figure out a scale for 50 feet. Maybe you use a scale of 2 squares equals a foot, or sorry, 1 square equals 2 feet. And you're going to scale draw that 50-foot wall. Okay. And then from here, if we're standing on this side, okay, and we're looking at this building, and it is 2 stories tall, based off our scale, okay, if we're going to say each story is, we'll just say 10 feet tall, maybe my first story goes up this high, and then I go all the way across, and that's kind of, oh, that's cool, I can make the line straight, okay. So, and then we've got this one, okay, and this is my first story, all right, and then I'm going to go up, and then I'm going to draw that second story to the same scale, and then come down, okay, and maybe those are my walls, all right, and those are my stories. Now the tricky part is you have to think about, what kind of roof structure is where you start to think about the style. Do you want a hipped roof? What is that going to look like from the side? If you do have a hipped roof, maybe it comes out and goes up. How did I make that go straight? Hold on. Here we go. Is it one of those really low sloping roofs? And then does it go out like this? It just depends on how the angle is from that side. I need to draw that better. There we go. Okay. And we talked about something called an overhang. Okay. And so you want to think about that too. All right. That might be what like a hipped roof looks like. Maybe a gable roof would look a little bit different. So if I use like a different color, um, from the side, a gable roof is going to be definitely steeper, and maybe it might just go over straight depending on what, or maybe you have a gable and valley, and depending on what your building looks like, it looks like this from the side. So something that's going to come in handy here with this as well is going to be like, looking at examples. So I put some examples here as well. Like this is like a hipped roof structure. They have a little bit of a gable here with kind of a dormer. But this is mostly a hipped roof structure. Okay, this one's also hipped. This one is mostly hipped, but they throw in like a shed roof, which you guys are totally, and this one actually over here is kind of like a gable, like a sloped gable. So you guys are totally, you're not limited to one type of roof structure, but you just have to think about what that's going to look like. And so as we start this, you guys are just doing rough drafts in your notebook because it's going to take a second to figure out, how do I make this look? And then in addition to that, not only the roof, where do I put my doors? Do I have a railing? From this side of my building, maybe I don't have any of that, but from the south side, I do. Like if I look at this building this way. And so, and then in the meantime, drawing everything to scale. Okay. So like if you come in here and you're like, okay, well, based off of how I drew my floor plans, I have windows here. Your windows are going to look a lot better because you're not going to be using a mouse to draw them, and then maybe you have your front door to like one of your units is right here. And then, maybe you have like a railing, or maybe a lot of this is on the inside of your building. It just depends. And so, you have to think about what you want to do, what that's going to look like. Think about what style you want to do and how you're going to sketch this all out to scale in your notebook. Okay. And then determining what kind of scale you can do. The bigger you can make your drawing on the paper, I think the better you can show a lot of those details a bit better. And those details are what I'm going to be looking for. Okay. So, a couple of other things too, some reminders here, but something that'll really help you guys is honestly like Googling, what does a craftsman elevation style home or just building look like? Okay, so how can you incorporate some of those features that you see specifically in an elevation view. Okay, so some of those gable and dormer roof structures, maybe some columns. And you're also going to be like color coding these to, represent materials as well. So think about that too. There's going to be a lot that goes into these. Um, you can Google, this one's probably architecture elevation view. So you can look at examples of how to draw those things. Maybe you really like this design, and you want to apply it to your apartment complex. There's nothing wrong with that, but you do need to make sure it's to the scale that your building is and that your windows and your doors and all your other things correspond to how you designed the inside of your building. Okay. But looking at drawings and stuff like this definitely helps a lot. Um, help you figure out what you want to do, how to differentiate your drawings. Here I looked up colonial architecture, so maybe you want to do more something along the lines of that. Incorporate dormers. Here's some Victorian examples. And so think about what styles you like, what that might look like, putting it on your um, drawing and planning it into your building. You guys, I also encourage you to look back at your notes on the different styles so you can, think about the specific um, features that went into everything as far as like the siding, the actual material, things being symmetrical or not. Um, the verandas, and not that you can incorporate all of this or like columns, but be thinking about what types of things you can do because I am going to eventually, at the end of this project, have you reflect on your style, and I want you to be able to pinpoint specific features that you incorporated. And so everyone should have access to this slash your own notes on when we did all the styles and stuff. And so you can, call out specific features. Okay. Maybe you want to mix modern with a new American version. Remember, modern has all those different kind of subcategories within it. So, um, the last thing is here. Just wanted to touch on some reminders. So you do need to identify and have an defined style. This can be multiple styles. So remember that term eclectic? That basically means a mixture of styles. Nothing wrong with that at all. Just make sure you know which ones you have combined. So if you tell me your um, architectural style is like eclectic, I'll say, okay, be specific. It's a combination of what? And if you don't know, then there's a problem with that. So be intentional with what you're doing. Um, there's not one way to design a certain style as well. Which might go without saying, but so don't feel like there's only one way to do a craftsman, only one way to do a prairie style. There's a lot of different things you can incorporate, and you don't have to incorporate every single thing that goes into that, but I would say enough that I can identify that style, okay? And just think about what features you can utilize, okay? And so, and within this is what kind of roof structures, are there certain window types that go within this style? How can you utilize those? And then other types of architectural features like columns or those kind of more finer tune ornamental things that, like the brackets and the cornices, and even I would even add to this, what types of materials correspond to that style. So maybe you picked a style that has a lot of brick and masonry, or one that has more of like that cedar siding. And thinking about the exterior materials as well, because that'll um, give your style and drawing some definition and take it just a step further as far as the complexity that goes into it, which is what a lot of the grade on this portion of your project is going to be. Is, of course, I'm looking for a nice drawing and for things to be neat, but I'm also looking for you to look into your building um, and figure out what styles you like and how you can represent those things. Okay, so. Um, that is what we're starting. We are going to start with some rough drafts in our notebooks. You know, keep up with everything else you guys have due. And please let the sub know if you guys have questions. And if I get enough, you know, questions about a certain thing, I will try to respond to those as soon as I can. So, yep, that is all I've got for this. Good luck, guys.